is Executive Director for the Center for Success Network. He's been an educator since 2005. Classroom teacher for 10 years. Let's hear it for teachers. What grades?
Everything from 2nd to 8th.
Everything from 2nd to 8th.
Yeah.
So that's from the unbearably cute to the unbearable.
100%,
right?
yeah, exactly.
I have a very good friend who's a school teacher.
Okay.
And she teaches adolescents, 7th and 8th grade.
Yeah.
And I don't know how she does it.
No,
without killing
I
them.
did that for 1 year and that was that.
Let's hear it for Andrea.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here today. We're maybe 6 minutes from our Center for Success Pontiac location, so we're right in our home territory. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of our other locations as well, but it's such a pleasure to talk about the Center for Success. It is absolutely my life's work. Like was mentioned, I was an educator.
Do you need this?
It's easier if I, but yeah. And have been for now 15 years, been in the space of education, and stepped out of the classroom 5 years ago to start our Detroit location, and 100% knew that this was where I was supposed to be. So I've worked a lot of different places within the network. We are actually only 5 years old, so I started Detroit at the same time that Pontiac was starting, and we connected that first year. That first year when I was working in Detroit, I was serving 6 students in a small space. We overlook the Packard plant in Detroit. We're actually in a building that was part of the Packard facilities. And fast forward 5 years, we're now in 7 locations serving 350 students and families. So I never believed that this was all gonna happen. I never knew what I was getting into. And certainly did not know that I would be in the executive director role, but it's really been amazing to see our network grow and see the lives that are being impacted by our work. So let me tell you a little bit about the Center for Success. Our mission is to unite literacy with community to empower students in their journey of education. We absolutely believe that education is a lifelong process, that we're all learning and can continue to learn. And I have been doing crazy amounts of learning this past year, stepping into this role to oversee this nonprofit. We partner our students with mentors from the community. So all of the pictures that you see are pictures of our students and mentors working together. That is absolutely the thing that's making the difference in the lives of our students, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. Our vision and our values are what guide our work, so it's our intention to create a very impactful program. When I say it outside of kind of just speaking from the slides, we want to set kids on fire for learning. We want to just get kids excited and ignited to learn. So many of our students, because we're working in the literacy space, the students who come to us are significantly below grade level in reading. So we say they're striving to read at grade level, but there is a lot that needs to come in there. And when our kids are disengaged because they're not reading at grade level, they just are not excited about school, and it breaks my heart. I'm a teacher because I grew up, I was that kid that like set the dolls out and the neighborhood kids would come over. I'm like, listen, you're all gonna listen and we're gonna do a lesson. And everyone's like, can we just play? I'm like, no, we are working right now and then we can play. So I was an educator from the start. But our kids don't get excited about learning. I was always so excited to go to school. And even when I was teaching for 10 years, I taught in South Los Angeles and I taught here in different areas of Detroit. And kids just do not get excited to go to school. And you know, I believe it's very much how we are teaching to pass tests. We're teaching for kids, you know, to believe that's going to be what impacts their lives, and that's just not it. So I've seen a tremendous transformation in our students at the center because they never get a report card from us, they never get a grade from us. All they get is us pouring into them the love of learning, new exciting things to learn about, and so it's a complete change. We see our kids wanting to come to the center, wanting to learn. It's really, really cool. We want to be definitely impactful. We definitely are measurable. We want to be able to be measurable because we want people to be able to fund us, right? And to be able to see that it's making a difference in the lives of our students. And then we want to be able to replicate, which we have done. Like I mentioned, we're now in 7 locations. We do that by partnering with other nonprofits, which is a beautiful way to really connect in communities and neighborhoods. We partner with a couple different nonprofits in Detroit, and then we have our own location here that we're inviting other people into our space here in Pontiac to enhance the program or to maybe work with adults or really young kids in literacy. So if you know anyone that's looking to find a space to allow more community services to happen, please let me know. But the replication piece was really important. We want to be able to reach as many students as possible. We believe our values are to expose students. So I'm going to go through a variety of slides that show some ways that we bring students out into the community or bring people in to impact our students at our site. We want them to just know that there's a million things that they can do and love and believe in, and it's not, housed in one school building, that there's exposure outside of that. Education is huge. I believe that is what is going to build our youth a better, more beautiful future, and to provide opportunities for them to be successful. Engaging, so we want youth to feel connected, respected, and heard. It's very important to us in our organization for students to have a voice and for them to not just be able to tell us, but for us to listen and respond when we hear what they're saying. So we want to hear as often as possible what is on their minds, what is important to them, and how can we embed that in our programming. And then to empower our students, to encourage them. We want them to be cultivated, compassionate, and empowered to learn and to lead. So we do a lot of leadership work where students can be at the forefront of what we're doing, so that they know that they have that power to make the difference in their own homes, in their lives, in their communities. So these are a lot of the different exposure pieces. Let me tell you a little bit about just what our program looks like. At the Center for Success, students come to us twice a week. We have a Monday, Wednesday crew and a Tuesday, Thursday crew. We do provide transportation at many of our sites. I was the bus driver for a long time, so that's really important to make sure that kids can come and get to us. And then we use the bus to go out on lots of exposure trips like this. When the students get to us each evening after school, we do a meal together. That time not only fills bellies, which is really important, myself included. Crabby people happen if you don't have food in your bellies, right? But also to give us a time to congregate and come together and talk about the day. How was today? What was going on? How can we make sure that we're in the right spot to move forward today? And then we do about an hour of enrichment activities. That ranges from here in Pontiac. We have an awesome crew that comes from GM to do robotics with the kids every week, which is super cool. They're building and flying airplanes right now. Last year was robots, the year before was rockets. So they do lots and lots of activities like that. Cooking comes in and cooks with the kids so they can learn that skill and learn to eat different foods. We've built a garden that the kids are involved with. And sometimes that is programming that's created by our staff. We do a lot of social emotional learning. We want kids to be able to work as a team, to understand their own feelings and responses to things, and to be able to regulate and understand, how they can turn that, if they're feeling upset or angry or frustrated, into a learning experience. So we do a lot of social emotional learning as well. These are some of the really awesome trips that we've taken with kids. So the United Shore baseball field is in Utica. They built it a few years ago. It's a beautiful family-friendly baseball field that is an amateur league of baseball. And every March is reading month, and so every March, United Shore puts on a March, challenge for the kids, reading challenges, and they can pass a couple different challenges and then get tickets to the game. So we take a group of students to the game, and they get to run the bases and be recognized for their reading accomplishments and watch the game every year. The players are amazing. They sign balls and throw them to the kids and all of that. So really cool experience. It's a little bit more family friendly than the Tigers games are, but that's just such a huge scale. So nice small field that the kids have maybe not been to. So we get to take them there, which is great. We're really connected with Wayne State University, and there's a group that's called the Black Student Union. It's a student group that they have sent mentors to us for years, which is amazing. And then they invited us to bring our students onto campus for their inauguration ceremony in February. Our students were able to present in front of both the Black Student Union and their family and friends that came to the inauguration. And then they were given honorary certificates and tassels. And it was an incredible experience, not only for our students to understand, you know, you tell elementary students about college, but they don't really understand what it is because they think it's school, right? You're just gonna go and sit and go to school. But to come to a place where there was a community of people coming together to support each other, to go out and do community service, and to be kind of a family on campus, our students recognized how different college is and what experiences it could allow for. One of our families, I brought 4 of the students plus mom, and it was the first time mom had ever been on a college campus. So to expose her students along with her to understand what college was like, she told me after that experience that she didn't want her kids to go to college because she didn't know what it was about. She had not been in that situation. So being on the campus and understanding what that experience was like and how it could support her family if they choose to go to college was really eye-opening to her and her students, which was really, really cool. Gleaners, like I said, Gleaners comes and cooks with our kids, so they do a whole Cooking Matters program. It's 8 weeks long, and the kids, I'm telling you, like they're cutting up zucchini right there. If I fed them zucchini, they'd be like, no thanks, I'm good. But they cut it all up and chopped it and sauteed it and created their own meal with it, and they were totally willing to try it all. So allowing students to have that experience of trying new foods, and they're really good. And you know, food, you know, businesses, restaurants, and food, there's a really great way to make a living out of that if you're good at it. So really cool experience for them. There's reading involved with all the recipes and the math of the measuring. So there's embedded teaching in that, but they were really, really excited. You can tell the smiles there. We took the kids out to Palmer Park in Detroit to golf with a program called First Tee of Greater Detroit. It's an amazing program that talks about character development through golf. And so we golfed for one summer, and they were really good. I am terrible at golf, not my skill set, but they were really, really great. And some had never been to that park in the middle of their city, so that was really cool. We are so in love with a program called Detroit Swims. They are here at the YMCA in Auburn Hills, so we take the Pontiac kids there, and then our students in Detroit to the Bolt Family YMCA. And Detroit Swims was created in response to some pretty grim statistics about drowning rates in our inner cities. It's 7 times higher than it is anywhere outside of the cities, which is just unbelievable. Particularly in Michigan, where we are never more than like a mile, I would say, from water, right? I grew up swimming. It's one of my favorite things to do. And so for our kids to not know how to swim, it was really important for us to bring that skill to them. So Detroit Swim started in response to that, and they really are trying to just teach critical water safety skills. But most of our kids went far beyond that and are learning strokes and learning about the sport of swimming. So we take them every week to go swim, and it's another way to build community, build confidence, and just expose our students to some other skills. And they're amazing at it. I don't think Jordan's in this picture, but there's a little girl named Jordan who came to us when she was in 4th grade, and she was reading at about a 1st grade level. She was really disengaged, had a pretty terrible attitude about school, didn't want to connect with any of the other students, was just really struggling. And so we took her swimming, and we got there and she said, yeah, no, not putting a bathing suit on, not putting my hair in the water, not doing this things. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna put my suit on, let's go. So I got in the water with her, and there's several other instructors and lifeguards there. And when I tell you the girl was a mermaid in the water, like she just flew and floated, and it was beautiful. You could tell she felt lighter, she felt confident, and we were able to take that back to the classroom and translate. You know, you were scared to jump in. It's a scary thing if you don't know how to swim. You know, it's really life-threatening, right? But in the classroom, you're scared and you're not willing to dive into reading either. But we're here to support you. We're not going to put you in a situation where you're going to feel uncomfortable or over your head, and we're going to help you, right? So we translated that in the classroom, and she came up to grade level in reading. She started cheerleading. She re-engaged in school. She had been absent. Her mom had been having to drag her to school every morning. and her attendance rates were terrible. And so she started attending school with no problem. It was a complete change. Sometimes I get emotional about it because that is life-changing. If you can engage and build relationships, if you can feel supported by your community and then engage in school, it changes your life. So she's now in 6th grade, continuing to thrive and just really a model student. So we're really excited about that. Starbase is an amazing program. It's out at Selfridge Air Force Base, and it's a STEM program. So the students are doing math and engineering and being part of it's not naval, Air National Guard base. And so we spent a week out there. It's for 4th and 5th grade students, and we went out for a week in the summer. They were able to create and then print a 3D image of something. They worked with other students from all around Metro Detroit, so a very diverse group of students coming there for the summer that they problem solved and did team building and engaging with. They have an amazing lunar module kind of pod that you go in and you take off and try and land it. And so one of the little girls was in there with me, literally believing she's flying this thing. Like, it shakes and it makes all this noise and you take off. And she's like, I don't know what I'm doing. But it was super, super cool. So really cool program, just again, to get kids inspired and excited. Starbase is super fun. We went through Quicken Loans and did a field trip of all of their crazy amount of buildings there. Quicken has been a supporter. They send a lot of mentors, which is amazing. So that has been a great, cool experience for them to go through and see kind of all the stuff that's coming out in Detroit. Our locations, like I said, we're in 7 spots throughout Detroit, and Pontiac is way up here, but has been really our anchor. Pontiac has been our anchor. The program started here before it spread across Detroit. The Brilliant Detroit Locations is one of our biggest partnerships. Brilliant Detroit is an amazing organization if you don't know much about them. They purchase homes in neighborhoods and renovate that home and then become a neighborhood hub. And so they do all kinds of programming from early childhood literacy through financial literacy. They have Zumba classes. It's very much driven by the neighborhood. They don't even come into the neighborhood until there's been really great welcoming that the neighborhood wants them there. So we partner with them to provide literacy in the afternoons in 4 of their houses. We're actually working on the 5th house with them right now. And then we're also connected to Downtown Boxing Gym. Downtown Boxing Gym does a program called Books Before Boxing. And so they have amateur boxers and a huge, beautiful gym, but the students have to do some kind of academic work, and so we embed our literacy program. We work with about 60 of their 3rd through 5th graders to bring them up to grade level in literacy. And so I told you numbers were important, so I kind of talked about the program and I went through that enrichment hour, and then the final hour of program is where our students get connected one-on-one with a mentor. They see the same mentor every single week, so they're building a relationship with that person. It's pretty incredible how quickly that happens, that they get connected, and they work through a pretty rigorous program. It's put together by our staff. I hire mostly teachers because I love educators so much. They're just the hardest working, but we put together the program and it's delivered by our mentors. So our students make insane gains. The first year that I did the program, I called the woman who trained me and I said, all right, I did something wrong. There's no way. In 10 years of teaching, had never seen numbers like we did. Most of our kids are raising over 2.5 years of reading growth in one program year. So if they're coming to us 2 years behind, they're in 1 year catching up to where they need to be, which is amazing. Some of these numbers are annoying, as I was told by my board of directors, because you only get it if you're a literacy person. But we use sight words as one of our assessments, and our average increase is over 300% in sight words, which is incredible. We use a Words Their Way. It's just a developmental spelling test that helps us identify exactly where students are at in their kind of discovery of spelling, and are over 200% increase in that area as well. And then we use book levels, and so that book level translates to about 2.5 years of reading growth in one program year. And that's from October through May, so it's not even a full school year. Beyond that, we do summer programming as well, and so the intention of our summer programming was just to keep kids where they were at, because there's a huge summer slide that happens during the summer if you're not engaged in academic or in some kind of structured environment during the summer. Most of our students in the communities we serve would lose 3 or 4 months of learning over the summer. By 5th grade, that translates to about 2.5 years of learning loss. So our intention was just to keep kids where they were at. The first summer, our students grew, 76% of our kids grew from where they were at, and last summer, 86% grew. We just want to keep brains in the game. It's not even just about keeping learning in front of students, but keeping engagement, keeping kids on task, keeping caring adults in front of our youth, so that there's some structure and routine to their summer. I was so fortunate growing up, going to summer camps and going to the library and going to museums. Those are the kind of experiences we're trying to have for our students. So we provide breakfast and lunch every day. It's more in the school day, we mirror the school day. And then we do tons of field trips, from the DIA to Henry Ford, to just a splash pad water park. Wherever we can get out and get kids to enjoy the summer, but to keep their, like I said, brains in the game, we do that. So we're really proud of our numbers. Beyond that, our families are giving us just the most amazing feedback about what is happening with their students. Numbers for sure can tell a story, especially to all the business people who care about that stuff, but when you talk about a student that that gets up and goes to school now happily, when you talk about a student, there's one student that mom recorded, they would not speak at a normal volume. They whispered or could be barely audible to their classroom, and the other students in their classroom finally started speaking at a regular level so people could hear and understand the student. That's a tremendous change. We have a dad who came last summer, and he said, I don't know what you guys are doing, but my student would not go to school. Like, it was dragging him to school every morning. And he got up on Saturday in the summer with his backpack on, ready to go, like, let's go to the center. And his dad was like, it's Saturday, there's no center today. And he was so bummed out. So to change that type of reaction for our students, for them to want to be there, is a really big deal. And I know there's so much going on across our communities, across our world, right, about people just being disengaged and not feeling welcomed or connected. That's the biggest piece. Reading, of course, is incredibly important, but you're never going to help someone read or be educated or whatever it is you're trying to teach if they don't trust you and believe in you and know that you care. And so that's really the biggest piece for us, that we're creating that environment so people can be comfortable and know that we can be trusted. From making excuses, we had a girl that said she couldn't read. Mom actually took her to get her eyes checked, and she's like, your eyes are fine. But once she learned the skills of reading, she no longer complains that the pages are blurry. It was just a way for her to say, oh, I can't do it, my eyes don't work. So really big transformations that are happening. I'm really proud of that. Our mentors as well. So our mentors make a year-long commitment to come once a week for 1 hour. And at first, a lot of people, I don't know if I can make that commitment, I'll try. And by week 2, they're like, I will be here every day. I will be here twice a week if I need to. It makes a bigger change, I think, in our mentors than we could even try and gauge. Our mentors understand the importance of that trusted relationship. They see changes in their students really, really quickly. I've had people call and say, I'm leaving work, it's a rough Monday, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. And then they end up coming and it being the best part of their day and changing everything about whatever happened to them that day. So they're seeing as many of those changes in our youth as we are, which is amazing. This is a video, but I don't know if it can play. I don't know if I can play this here. So you can get a little idea.
It can play, but I don't know if we're gonna have much sound.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
I mean, it's up to you guys if you want to see it or not.
Do you have an Oxford?
No, not on me.
I can click any of them.
We can stick the mic up in front of it.
Okay.
That might work.
I don't want to touch it.
Might be a little tight. You can't bring it.
Okay. I don't know. Who said you can't bring it? I could possibly.
feel like I have such a unique opportunity to be a part of the village, you know, that helps like shape these students.
To be a part of a child's happy moments and joyous moments that inspire them to live life better and be happier as an adult. To me, that's you can't ask for anything better.
There's a student that I thought of working with, and he came in like a full grade level below, and when we finished that year, he was over a full grade level ahead in reading. That's such an insane, rewarding moment.
I don't think mentors always realize what a big deal they are to these kids and how important they are in their life, and really are making the difference in the hour a week is well worth it.
Thank you. It's like one of my favorite videos, so I'm so glad I could share it. So I think there's just one other slide that just thanks you. And I'm happy, I don't know if anyone has questions, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Was there an educator that you recall that made a difference in your life?
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. My third grade teacher, Mr. Gibbons, when you walked in his room, there was a whole wall of animals. So we had responsibility to take care of different kinds of animals. I had to take care of Smokey the guinea pig, literally will never forget that. So I had to learn about how to take care of, he was so hands-on. We built a small sailboat that was like our math lessons the whole year. We built a small sailboat and actually took it to Stony Creek Metro Park and sailed in this sailboat. I'm not joking. There were a lot of dads on the outside helping put stuff together. It was a real
You
small.
got in it?
Yep.
And nobody drowned?
Nobody drowned.
Not even one?
Not even one. We followed the around the world sailing race. So we each had a sailor we had to follow and track their latitude and longitude and check in on how they were doing, where they were at in the race, and the challenges they had and things like that. He was incredible. And it bred that like inspired learning, right? It wasn't like everybody take your book out, let's get to reading. It was so inspiring to know that there were real life reasons why we were learning this information. So he was definitely one of my huge ones. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it. I can think of several in my
Right?
life. Right?
And-
Starting with my mother.
Yeah.
My mother loved to read.
Mm-hmm.
She bought a subscription to Dr. Seuss books. The one would come every month or something, right? And she had me started reading before I ever went to school.
Yes.
So I kind of was the only kid in the neighborhood that had preschool.
Yeah.
And when I got to school, it was easy.
Yeah.
It seemed easy. So
Right.
just that little bit of an advance was a huge advantage for me.
And
I
we
still
do,
love it.
I am so glad that you said that. We do a lot of work with our families now because it's not embedded, education is not embedded in many of the families that we serve as a critical piece. We hear a lot, I've heard 2 moms say directly, can't wait till my student gets to kindergarten and can start learning. And if you're not learning until you get to kindergarten, you're gonna be way behind, and that love of learning is not gonna be there. And so, yeah, we work with families really, really specifically. Families sometimes are not also reading at grade level. I had one mom tell me, I don't want my student to get any better at reading, he's gonna outread me. And how am I supposed to help him be the mom when he's reading better than me? So in that situation, we can point them to other resources, right? Adult literacy resources, or just support them in being able to have resources at home that kids gravitate towards books. If you have a pile of books, kids are gonna open them. And so helping kind of change that frame of reference. Absolutely. I'm a mom of 3, so my oldest just turned 5, and we read insane amounts of books. I have pictures of my child just like sitting on an entire pile of books. Because even tearing books out of a bookshelf and putting them back or looking at the front cover and back cover is literacy. Being surrounded, having a literacy-rich environment is important. So our kids can check books out from us and take them home so they have appropriate materials to be at home. We teach families how to play some different literacy games. Some are just board games. You're learning literacy just playing the board game. So things like that. Yeah, yeah.
Excellent.
Yes.
How do you get the word out there to schools and students in need?
Yeah, I am all over the place doing stuff like this. We go to a lot of back to school events. Here in Pontiac, we're partnered with Lighthouse. So Lighthouse is a residential facility for homeless women and children, and we transport from Lighthouse. And once we started that partnership, the word spread very quickly through the organization. We are also just recently partnered with Walton Charter Academy. It's a National Heritage Academy. We have been partnered with them in Detroit for many years. So right now, you know, at the beginning I had to do a lot of back to school events and community events. Now our families turn around and tell. That's our biggest word of mouth. But we definitely are on Facebook and, you know, have a website and things like that, and try and do as many community outreach things as we can. I think the partnerships are a big piece because we're, you know, if we're embedded with another organization, then they're letting them know about our program throughout their organization as well. So.
Have you done partnership work with like libraries?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I met recently with Pontiac Library, and we're talking about, there's a really big initiative in Pontiac right now to include early childhood literacy. So we started in elementary school, but we need kids to be starting to read prior to that. And so we're opening our space to some programs that would like to come in and do some early literacy with us. And we're also talking about ways to kind of that brilliant model of embedding it in neighborhoods. And so there's a program called Waldorf Education, which starts in early literacy. And so we're looking at ways to start kind of like Waldorf preschools in different parts of the neighborhoods. So we can start the network early. I'm hoping one day I'm out of a job, right? We can switch our focus to something else. I know that will be many years, but the earlier we can start and connect with things like the library and other programs that are happening. Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions?
I just appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. I grew up in a home where my dad was in education. Like, nobody really valued that, so it was always difficult for me to.
Right.
Like, as I got older, it took me a little bit longer to learn these things, but eventually I was able to.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you. I am incredibly proud of this. I honestly never knew where it would go, and we're not stopping anytime soon. When I started, my mom said, "You're going to be busy for like the next year or so." I said, "Mom, for the next 100, however long I can do this." Education is so long-lasting, and if you can impact a student who impacts their future family and beyond, it's generational and it's never-ending. You never know. So. I'm really proud of it, so thank you. I appreciate that.
It makes a big difference because, you know, correction or whatever without relationship is,
Right.
you know, so, and all they get that is that, you know, home or wherever.
Right.
You don't have to sit next to them, you know,
Yeah.
communicate, actually teach them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Definitely. Awesome. It is such a pleasure to talk to all of you. So I brought cards if anyone wants to stay connected or has questions about the mentoring and things like that. I'm happy to answer, but feel free to spread, you know, give my information to anyone who you think might be interested. Thank you so much. This is such a cool, unique thing that you guys do too.
Absolutely. We have a very nerd-friendly environment here, so reading is near and dear to most everybody that you'll see here. Even though our numbers are a little light today, but as a young man, I read everything all the time. It fascinated me because that's where I was ahead of everybody else because my mom started me.
Yeah.
Right? So I was always interested in it because I could open my mouth and know things that the other kids didn't know.
Yeah.
Right? So that really set me on a whole life path. Do you know 90% of the time what happens when you call the IT guy? They Google it.
And they're reading it.
Right? They're just reading it from someplace else.
Yeah.
Right? I've done electronic repair for 30 years, right? It's all about the paperwork. People come to me and this doesn't work. Well, I picked up the user manual and read it, and it's working the way it's supposed to work. Right? So reading is such a key to so many things in life, right? All the information accessible to you is 90% of this through reading. So.
Yeah, my 5-year-old recently started telling me, you don't have to tell me anything, I know everything. And I'm like, baby, nobody knows everything. That's the coolest part of learning, is that you can never know it all. There's always more to learn and always more to know. And she was like, yeah. I'm like, hopefully that got at 5. She just turned 5.
5 years old.
Yeah.
So it sounds like she's way ahead of the game, because it's usually like 12, 13 years old.
She's
that they
going
know
on
everything,
5 going on 13, I would say.
Great.
Awesome. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you
I
so
appreciate
much.
it.
And, much respect to all educators. It's to me, it's a very highly honorable.
It is. It's an amazing job. Thank you.